Prior to obtaining my ADN in nursing in 2006, I want to back up to the pinning ceremony because that is something that's very special to nursing student candidates. Is a ceremony where we get pinned, similar to the picture that you see. We wear all white and we wear our traditional nursing cap, and it's just a very special ceremony. And at that particular ceremony, I was one of the student speakers for my class at that time. The president spoke, and then, I spoke as well to represent the class. And it was a magical moment. We knew we had survived so much to get to this point, and the rest was scary and unfathomable, but we knew we made it. And I remember after pinning, one of my special teachers came to me and she said, "Art, did you write that? Did you write that speech?" And I said, yes ma'am, I did. And she said, "I want you to know." And she leaned in, and this is what she's saying on this picture, and I'll never forget it. And that's why it's so special to me. She said, "You can do whatever you want to do." She said, and I mean that. You can do whatever you want to do. And she was just such a special light in my life. And we would become, more than just student and teacher relationship. She would become a mentor and definitely someone I looked up to and was a confidant. And I really appreciate all of the nuggets that she gave me because I utilized them in every sense of the word. And that moment really propelled me and helped give me the confidence to know that, I can do this. I can go into this journey and do what needs to be done. And when I was getting prepared to go into the world of work, I felt confident. I felt that I knew everything I needed to know to be successful. I trusted what my teacher said. I did everything that I was supposed to do. I studied hard, and I graduated, and I took my NCLEX. I passed the NCLEX. Now I can call myself a nurse, and nurses were very particular about that. You can't call yourself a nurse unless you pass that NCLEX and have that license to do so. And I learned that from my teachers very early on. They said, don't be grown. You don't start calling yourself a nurse. And that's illegal. And you wait until you pass your NCLEX, and then you can call yourself a nurse. And so that stuck with me because it was so important, a monumental moment. So now I'm a nurse, and I have a job opportunity because I am ready to leave the country behind. I grew up in the Boondocks, okay? You could probably see a young Sharonda chasing a dog, and the dog's chasing the cat, and then there's a possum hiding in the bushes somewhere. That's the level of country we're talking about. We're talking about crickets at the windows. Crickets, okay? And so I was excited to leave that kind of behind and go venture into something new. And that was something my mom was always telling me about. Go travel while you're young. Before you get tied up or with anything, go travel and go experience the world. And I got my first job in Greensboro, and I moved to Greensboro. And the street was MLK Boulevard, or near MLK Boulevard, I'll say that. It wasn't on MLK Boulevard. And that should have been my first sign that, this could be a scary place to live. And me and my dad, we kind of laugh about that today. We're like, you lived in kind of like a scary place, right? And I said, no, I thought it was fantastic. He was like, I mean, this is the level I'm on. I'm like, hey, this rent is great. It's okay. It's not in my my budget, and hey, I'm happy. But I wonder why my friends wanted me to visit them all the time, as opposed to come over my way. But I enjoyed it. Okay, I mean, I enjoyed it. And my dad would say, but your neighbors really admired you and looked out for you. And I have to say they did. I mean, I could only imagine that they thought, oh yeah, she is not from the city. We need to look out for old girl. So I'm really thankful for that moment in my history. But the real shock factor, I think, was learning the hospital culture was different for me. I had glamorized nurses, of course, and how special the work is. And so I just came in with a honeymoon, they could do no wrong kind of outlook. And the reality is that everybody has you just have to let people be who they are and not hold people to these unrealistic expectations that sometimes movies, television shows, your own imagination, can put on others. And really, I had to break up with that. So there was really nothing that I think the nurses did wrong. It was just, I had to break up with my own imaginations. And so leaving nursing school and going on the floor moving to a city where I didn't know anyone was very challenging. And receiving my first 2 patients was a lot, because I never was exposed to taking care of 2 patients in its entirety. You do clinicals through your nursing program and curriculum, but you're really not ever able to take over the show for the nurse in its entirety. And so that was difficult for me. And I motivated, and I hate losing in a sense, and I was losing bad to the point where I had to extend my orientation period and everything. Now, on top of all this, I decided in 2006 to continue and finish my bachelor's degree at UNCG. And so I was admitted into their RN to BSN program, and was beginning that program as well. And back then, nothing was completely online. You always had to go to school, go to classroom in a traditional format, even if it was just once a week. And so that's how that program was set up too back then. And so I'm doing that. I'm trying to begin this new nursing career, and it was all overwhelming to me. And I think what hurt the most was the perception that nurses were talking about me, because I wasn't getting it. And so I began very hypersensitive of the fact that people are talking about me, because I am slow. I mean, the rest of my peers have moved on. They are out of orientation. I am still in orientation. And I mean, I must have cried the entire 6 months. Like, was it worth it getting this degree? Because this is nothing like I thought it was going to be. I mean, I can't do this. And I asked my manager, because she was now orienting me, because everybody else was dealing with me at that point. And so I said, listen, just move me to night shift. And she was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, just move me to night shift. And then, and let me figure it out from there. And it was a complete 180, because I hate to say 360 because I didn't go all in full circle, but I'm gonna just say I turned, because those ladies, and it was primarily ladies, they really put me under their bosom and taught me how to survive as a nurse and how to understand this flow, because I'm going on this floor where you taking 13 patients because it's team nursing. So you have one nurse has 13 patients that they have to assess, and then you also have a LPN on your team who's giving your medications, and then you have a CNA that's providing that care as well. And so having to finagle all that was very challenging to me. That was tough to get to and to finesse, but I stayed with it. I asked questions. I had to do some reading, outside reading. I kept bugging my night shift crew, and they just allowed me to be me and support me. And that was probably one of the best growth moments. And what started off as, I hate life, ended up being so monumental in my career. And I knew that if I could accomplish this floor, that I could accomplish anything. And what I liked about the hospital is that they had a mentor program. So then once a month as a new nurse, you could get together with all your new nurse friends and, kind of gripe about what life is. And so, me and my friend, we would always say, oh, how much we hate life, and, this is horrible, and things like that. And I really appreciate that kind of program, because it allowed us to kind of let off some steam in a non-judgmental factor. And really, we got to hear from different new grads' experiences. And so that was really monumental for me. And then I get a call to the office to see my manager. And, you never know what to think when you're getting called to the office. And she said, we're going to start training you as a charge nurse. At the year mark, I'm a charge nurse over a 38-bed unit. And that was a special moment for me. And I remember when new grads came in after that moment, I was just thinking that, I want to make sure that they're looked after and they feel supported, so that no one ever feels the way that I felt when I first came into this place. And I think that really sparked a mental trigger for me that I really want to support the newbies and make sure that they are taken care of. And it just became a yearning. And now, coupled with, I know what newbies need to know now. I know how they need to think, and I can really help them. So in 2007, in December, I would graduate, completing my UNCG journey and getting my bachelor's of science in nursing. I decided to resign, and the following year I began my journey as a travel nurse. I am still have those relationships to this day, and I'm thankful for everyone I met along that journey. In 2009, I was looking for a job, and I ended up finding one in a medical neuro ICU. I received a phone call from Carol Gibson. She is the director of nursing at the program at the time. And she said, Sharonda, I have a clinical adjunct position. It's a clinical rotation in the ED and ICU rotation, and I think you'd be perfect for it. And of course, I'm still having imposter syndrome. I would accept the position and eventually be offered full-time later that year. Due to Miss Cavanagh retiring that year, I would assume that position over. I continued to work in the ICU, and nothing prepared me for life as a nurse educator. Nothing.